Have you ever wondered what personal information you should never share after turning 70? People frequently believe that as we get older, we have more freedom to express ourselves. In actuality, though, some information ought to be kept confidential. It's not because you're ashamed, but rather because maintaining your safety, dignity, and peace of mind becomes increasingly crucial with time. In order to maintain your independence, safeguard your relationships, and earn the respect of those around you, we're going to reveal 4 extremely intimate topics in this video that you should keep private after the age of 70. Although each of these things can initially appear innocuous, disclosing them might subtly undermine your sense of security in the eyes of others. You'll learn what to keep private, as well as how these simple acts of discretion may make you stronger, safer, and more respected in the years to come if you stick with me to the very end. Let's begin now. First, your financial information. Your financial information is one of the most crucial private items to safeguard after the age of 70. At this point in life, managing finances becomes essential for both survival and comfort. However, far too many elders readily divulge financial information, frequently in the name of informal chat or trust. These disclosures can subtly expose you to manipulation, criticism, or even exploitation. Examples of such disclosures are how much you have saved, how much your pension pays, or what is stated in your will. This is the reality. People begin to treat you differently when they are very aware of your financial situation. Some people might be envious of you. People may feel sorry for you. Some might even begin planning ways to profit on your transparency. I once knew a 77-year-old man named Charles who casually told his neighbor that he had a sizable retirement fund. In a matter of months, family members he hadn't spoken to in years started phoning, suddenly wanting to come see him. He was even persuaded to co-sign a company loan by one. It was difficult to seal the door that innocent comment had opened. It's not necessary to become suspicious in order to protect your financial privacy. It entails wisdom. When someone inquires about your Social Security benefits or the performance of your investments, you might respond politely but firmly by smiling and saying, "I'm comfortable. Thank you. You have worked hard your entire life to earn everything you have, and you owe no one an explanation." This has a psychological component as well. Talking about money can expose you to your own insecurities as much as the greed of others. You attract anxiety into your life if you talk about how little or how much you have all the time. You may concentrate on serenity instead of comparison when you keep financial problems secret. When disclosing financial information to carers or new acquaintances, exercise extra caution. Seniors are frequently the subject of scams that start with normal chat. A friendly could be the first step. How do you handle your bills now that someone has access to your personal accounts? Never forget that true friends value your privacy. Anyone who puts pressure on you to divulge financial information is a danger rather than a friend. Instead of exchanging bank statements, find common interests to connect with if you're feeling lonely. Discuss your hobbies, your recollections, or what makes your days meaningful. Don't discuss money unless it's really necessary. Financial privacy is ultimately a matter of practice and self-respect. Your independence is preserved by this invisible barrier. Treat it like the shield it is and keep it safe, because it's almost impossible to keep someone out of that circle of trust once you've let them in. The second is your medical history and personal shortcomings. Your health becomes one of your most sensitive and personal types of information after the age of 70. However, far too many elderly people freely discuss their illnesses, frequently without realizing how this affects how others perceive them. People start to characterize you based on your medical illnesses, prescriptions, or physical restrictions if you talk about them all the time. They begin to see you as fragile instead of competent, intelligent, and self-sufficient. You own the story of your health. It is a chronicle of all your triumphs, every wound, every healing, every small triumph. However, not everyone is worthy of hearing it. Talking about it informally can lead to unwarranted sympathy, condemnation, or even exploitation. Under the pretense of being helpful, some people could exploit your health information to dominate you or to manipulate you emotionally. I once met a 74-year-old woman named Linda who talked excessively to a neighbor she hardly knew about her deteriorating vision. After a few weeks, the neighbor insisted on doing errands for her, paying her bills, and even taking her to the bank. It eventually became evident that the neighbor wasn't being kind. They were in charge. Linda had unintentionally given the wrong person access to her weakness. This does not imply that you should keep your health a secret from medical professionals, dependable relatives, or close friends. It does, however, imply that you should exercise caution. Only divulge information to those who require it and have demonstrated their reliability. It's acceptable to set boundaries if someone persistently inquires about your prescription drugs, procedures, or test results. "I'm managing things well, thank you," is a simple response. Talking about sickness all the time can also make you feel depressed. A perception of decline is reinforced when all discussions center on pain, prescription drugs, or hospital stays. Eventually, you begin to identify more with your symptoms than with your strengths. Maintaining your privacy contributes to maintaining your thinking. Your health issues don't determine who you are. They are only a portion of your journey. Keep in mind that your perseverance should be valued rather than reduced to a medical record. You don't need to recount all the storms you've survived. You're not hiding when you decide to keep quiet about some difficulties. You're maintaining your dignity. When talking about your health, emphasize lessons rather than restrictions. Try expressing something like, "I've learned to listen to my body and move more carefully now," rather than, "My knees hurt all the time." This reframing turns you from a patient into a teacher. If you're still watching this video and think these ideas are helpful, please let me know by leaving a second remark below. To ensure you don't miss any videos, I advise you to subscribe and activate the bell if you haven't already. With your help, we can keep producing quality content that will inspire and educate you. Let's proceed now. Third, your private relationships and family disputes. Sharing too much about private relationships, personal difficulties, or family disputes is one of the most frequent errors made by older individuals. Talking about these things may seem natural, especially when you're lonely or frustrated, but after the age of 70, caution turns into a kind of wisdom. Others' perceptions of you and your loved ones might be influenced by what you disclose about your family, frequently in irreversible ways. People start to create opinions when you tell them about your grandchildren's behavior, your children's faults, or family disputes. And those viewpoints can persist for years, influencing all subsequent exchanges. He had said in exasperation that even insignificant comments might permanently harm relationships. I used to know an 82-year-old man named Edward, who frequently told his friends about his son's financial difficulties. He had no intention of making anyone feel uncomfortable. He was merely expressing his frustration. However, word got out as usual. The tale soon made its way to his son's place of employment, severely damaging their relationship. Every private word had borne weight, as Edward discovered too late. People tend to believe what you say when you're older. Because of your age and expertise, they assume your viewpoint is impartial. Therefore, whether or not your stories are accurate, they have the power to influence how other people treat your family. Even if you occasionally feel let down or wounded, protecting their privacy is a sign of affection. This has an additional dimension. You may get emotionally isolated if you discuss family matters too openly. Some friends will discreetly distance themselves out of fear of being the next topic of rumors. People may listen to you but become disrespectful if they mistake your candor for lack of judgment. You maintain your connections and your dignity by keeping personal concerns secret. Complications can arise from even the smallest aspects. A harmonious family can become divided if you discuss your will, inheritance plans, or who should get what. These discussions should never be casual and should only take place in private settings with the appropriate individuals at the appropriate times. If you have a love life, it's also critical to protect its anonymity. It's wonderful that many older folks discover companionship later in life. However, the more you talk about it, the more people feel they have the right to criticize or become involved. Maintaining the seclusion of such relationship preserves its sacredness. Select one trusted confidant if you need to talk about anything painful or let go of tension. A lifetime friend, a therapist, a religious leader, or someone who listens to you without spreading the message. Your reputation is just as important as your emotional health. Silence also has a spiritual truth. You make space for healing when you talk less about the shortcomings of your family. You begin cultivating peace instead of fostering resentment. The younger generation looks up to that kind of calm strength. They pick up on how you safeguard important things. Your comments have a lifetime impact after the age of 70. Use them for protection rather than division. Talk in a way that gives your tale honor and grace to the people you care about. Sometimes being silent does not equate to withholding. It is the epitome of knowledge. Fourth, your emotional scars and regrets. After 70, there's one last item you need to learn how to safeguard: your darkest regrets and emotional scars. As time goes on, a lot of elderly people start talking too much about their suffering because they think it would make them feel better or more connected. However, those personal griefs might be misinterpreted, abused, or even used against you if they are expressed in the wrong context or with the wrong people. Everybody who lives long enough accumulates regrets, missed opportunities, unspoken words, and poor decisions. However, not all tales must be shared. Your heart's concerns are holy. Your intelligence, not your value, was shaped by them. Speaking things carelessly might also cause wounds that should be healed rather than made public. I once met Ella Lahner, an 81-year-old woman who frequently talked about her estranged daughter. She repeatedly told the same tale to anyone who would listen. Her mail carrier, her neighbors, even strangers at the grocery store. Every time she hoped that someone could help her understand what had happened. But eventually, her narrative came to define who she was. She was no longer recognized as Eleanor the painter or Eleanor the good neighbor. She turned into the mother whose daughter doesn't talk to her. She accidentally condensed her own narrative into a single, terrible chapter by oversharing. Reflection is quite acceptable. Honest introspection is actually a sign of wisdom, but it takes judgment to communicate intense emotional suffering. The public has more influence over you the more you share your personal anguish with them. Repetition of the same wound to anybody who will listen does not lead to healing. Instead, healing occurs in quiet, prayer, and trusted discussion. You don't need other people's approval to be in agony. You've experienced enough to realize that pity is not the source of tranquility. It originates from comprehension. You preserve the significance of some events when you cherish them. You treat them as teachings rather than burdens. It also involves safeguarding your emotional vitality. Your mind starts to live in the past when you think about regret all the time. The happiness that may be a part of the current moment fades as your spirit slows down. Keeping your regrets to yourself keeps you rooted in the present. Silence does not equate to loneliness. It implies that you are cautious about who you share your truths with. A quiet notebook where your thoughts can rest, a counselor who understands the aging heart, or a buddy who listens without passing judgment. These locations are secure. However, the world doesn't have to know everything that formerly caused you pain. The world just needs to witness the strength you gained as a result. Your dignity serves as a protection when you're 70, 80, or older. You erode that barrier when you share every grief. However, you remind yourself that your life is still your own when you treat some feelings as sacrosanct. Your suffering, your history, or your errors do not define you. How you gracefully handle them defines you. Take a deep breath and remind yourself that remaining silent can be a sign of strength the next time you feel the need to open out to someone who hasn't earned your trust. The most profound tranquility frequently results from learning to listen to oneself rather than from being heard. Please let me know in the fourth comment below whether you're still watching this video and think these ideas are helpful. To ensure you don't miss any videos, I advise you to subscribe and activate the bell if you haven't already. With your help, we can keep producing quality content that will inspire and educate you. Let's proceed now. Concluding remarks. Privacy becomes more than just a choice as we age. It turns into a barrier that safeguards our tranquility, security, and dignity. After 70, the things you decide to keep confidential are not secrets. They serve as shields. They protect the respect you've earned over many years of existence, education, and perseverance. Recall the 4 topics we discussed: your family, your health, your money, and your regrets. Every one of them holds fragments of your life that are worthy your attention. You are not being guarded when you defend them. You're acting sensibly. You're saying, "I've lived long enough to know what's sacred." In actuality, sharing too much might gradually damage your reputation. When you deserve respect, it may arouse sympathy. When you deserve tranquility, it may arouse interest. But you have quiet authority when you learn to keep some things close. You impart to others that your life narrative shouldn't be shared with the general public. It is not for display, but for reflection. That is the paradox of gracefully aging. Your presence has greater power the less you expose. Your legacy is dignity, and your silence is power. We appreciate you being here with us today. We would be delighted to hear from you. Tell us one thing you learned today and how you intend to apply it to your life in the comments section below. We value your opinions, so please feel free to express them. We get a lot of inspiration and support from reading your remarks. Please like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it useful and enjoyable. With your help, we can keep producing quality content that will inspire and educate you. We appreciate you viewing, and we hope to see you in the upcoming video.